Hello and a very warm welcome to you. Well, I expect you're starting to get a little bit sick of seeing this picture. But the observation that I made of the Bass Rock from Kinghorn at 37 meters elevation and from Dalgety Bay at around 5 meters elevation, the saga continues. As I said in the last video that I published on this subject, I have had one video response to my original video. That response came from a YouTuber who goes by the name of The Plain Truth. I believe his first name is Travis. And Travis has posted a video in which he doesn't really respond properly to the observation or to the challenge that I presented. The challenge that I presented was for flat earthers to provide their explanation for why the majority of Bass Rock is obscured from view at Dalgety Bay at 5 meter elevation, and yet is almost fully visible from 37 meters at Kinghorn in Fife. Now, a number of flat earthers have made the sort of misunderstood this challenge and have demanded further details, and they've specified the details that they require. Travis has also demanded further details, but he hasn't actually specified what details he wants, and he's been somewhat rude and unpleasant in the way that he has gone about it, as you'll see from a comment shortly. However, he has gone to the trouble of making a video in which he criticizes and questions the nature of my observation. So the video is to respond to him. Before I go on to actually talk about his video, he has been demanding that I produce all the details and analysis of my observation. And I have told him that I wanted to get the observation out and ask for flat earthers' explanations for it before doing that. Partly because it actually takes quite a long time to go through all the analysis and then to narrate and compile a video that contains all the relevant bits and pieces. And I don't have a huge amount of time. I'm sitting here today simply in 5 minutes having a cup of coffee, and I'm going to talk about and show parts of video that Travis has posted. This doesn't take very long to do, but the detailed analysis does take some time, and my hand being still suffering the after effects of the stroke that I suffered does mean that it takes me a little bit longer to control the mouse or the touchpad and to actually go through all the analysis and compile a video. Perhaps Travis should just think about this and present his explanation for my observation instead of making totally unnecessary demands. Anyway, on to his comment and his video. So this is a screenshot of the comment that Travis posted on my most recent video on this observation. He states, "So you're ignoring my reaction. Gotcha." Well, I'm not. In the video, I actually say that I'm going to make this video. I'm going to make a video dealing with his reaction, so I do not ignore it. And he asks, why are you blathering on? give the FKN details like I asked. Again, as I said, a rather rude and somewhat aggressive approach. However, I'm going to ignore that and actually deal with his video. And yes, Travis, in the fullness of time, you will get all the relevant details and analysis of my observation. So the first 3 minutes of Travis's video contains some film footage from a movie of somebody beating up somebody else in a toilet. And Travis labels himself as the person doing the beating up and me as the victim. I guess this was some sort of attempt at a joke, but there is a veiled threat of actual violence here, which, well, if you want to see it, you can look at the video yourself. I have sped this up to get past it, if you like, but just so that you can see exactly what the content is. Of course, this has absolutely nothing to do with my observation or anything to do with a flat Earth explanation for my observation, which was what I asked flat earthers to provide. But anyway, Travis is free to put whatever he likes on his own channel. So the next portion of Travis's video is just him introducing himself and making some comments about audio issues he's been having that delayed his response video. And then he will go on to play my video and pause it, making comments occasionally. So what I will do here is simply edit out his comments and address them.
All right, that wouldn't have been a long video. It wouldn't have made the video longer if you would have just put in the data on the screen or in the description. And now you're just simply making work for yourself. If anybody like me, put in a request for all that information, because now you got to do it anyway. You should have just done it.
So the first point is it would actually have made the video considerably longer because I would have had to explain the information that was being provided, and that would have made it longer. It would also have taken me a rather long time to actually make that video with all that information, and I am in the process of doing that, but I want to make sure everything is absolutely correct before publishing it. So, Travis, rather than sort of criticizing, why not just address the question that was asked? What is the flat Earth explanation for this observation?
That is absolute bullshit. Look at this resolution here. This looks like it could be a cave. This could be a cave here in the rock. This could be a cave. Miles, you have no idea where this horizon is, nor is there anywhere near any semblance of resolution here to say that this rock, if it is a rock, is on the horizon. No way. No way. Listen to what he's suggesting, and all you ballers out there, all you globe flakes, are just nom 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 nom. Say it again, Miles. Nom nom nom. Look at this boat right here. There's not even enough resolution. This is not a good picture, Miles. Look at how blurry the lighthouse is. Look at how blurry this lighthouse is. Oh my word. Not only that, start over here. Horizon, horizon, horizon. Oh, look, Bass Rock is right on the horizon. Why can't you say that? Why can't you say that? Horizon, 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 Bass Rock is on the horizon, Bass Rock is on the horizon, blah, 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 blah. There's no resolution here. You have no depth perception here. Go on, make another claim.
So this was one of the reasons that I didn't want to post all the details and the analysis for my initial video. The point being that flat earthers pick up on any little thing that you think you can criticize, rather than actually dealing with the nature of the observation itself. I do know that those are rocks, Travis, they're not caves, and my full-length video, when it comes out, will explain why I know and how I know that they are indeed rocks. As for the blurriness of the picture, well, they are taken over a considerable distance, and that just happens.
How do you know what's missing? How do you know there's anything missing here? You don't have any deets. You don't have any details on the height of the rock. You don't have any details. Look at right here. I just noticed this right here. A little meniscus here. Come on, man. This is poor show, poor form. This is bad form. You cannot say how much is missing or that there is anything missing. Frankly, there's nothing missing. This island is right here. The shoreline is right here. Now, I don't know what's going on here because it's not a good picture. So I'm not going to make any claims except for the fact that I know that's not curvature. That's not curvature. Now, here's one other thing that I have come across in my investigations. As you move laterally across the horizon, you are not staying at the same distance. This horizon, this horizon, this horizon could be a different distance than this horizon right here. What I mean by that is, if you had a boat sitting on the horizon here, and its coordinates were XYZ, and you had a boat on the horizon here, and its coordinates were ABC, they're not in the same position, even though they look like they're on the same horizon. Same thing over here, okay? This is not a fixed location. In your world, it has to be. In the real world, it ain't.
So, Travis, I know that we're seeing the majority of the Bass Rock here because I've seen many pictures of the Bass Rock, and I've actually viewed the Bass Rock from much closer locations myself. The lighthouse gives us a decent indication of just how much we are seeing because we know the elevation of that lighthouse and we know the total height of the Bass Rock. But these are not important details in my observation. My observation is from 37 meters at Kinghorn, you see vastly more of the Bass Rock than you do from 5 meters at Dalgety Bay. And that is it. That's what the video is about. And these other details are not important, as I've shown in my video where I give the globe Earth explanation for the observation. And the meniscus that you refer to is part of the Bass Rock. That's the shape that those cliffs make when viewed from this particular angle. It's not a water meniscus. You make a number of points about the horizon, but don't provide any evidence of your own to back those up. But they're not relevant to the observation in question. So deal with the observation in question and deal with the challenge in question, rather than just making up spurious criticisms of the pictures themselves. Now, as I say, the distances involved and precise angles are not particularly important for today's video.
Oh, you sound a lot like Critical Think. Yeah, I know there's an inferior mirage there, but it's not significant. It has no bearing on what we're looking at. Oh, really? So you just hand wave dismiss an inferior mirage while I go out and point out why you shouldn't hand wave dismiss it, and you haven't addressed my challenge at all at all. So again, we don't need to worry about distances and angles. Pfft, ridiculous.
Well, I didn't mention inferior mirage at all, so I don't know what on earth you're talking about. And I'm not hand waving things away. What I'm saying is there's an observation. We see a lot of the Bass Rock from high elevation and closer to it, and we see very little of the Bass Rock from further away and a lower elevation. Can you provide a flat Earth explanation for such an observation? It's a simple challenge, and you do not require any more details than the details that have been provided in order to meet that challenge, or at least you shouldn't need any more details. Here is a second photograph. This is taken from a different location, from Dalgety Bay, and at 5 meters above sea level.
Okay, so right now we have a 111 foot and a 20 foot observation, 37 meters and 5 meters. Okay, the 37 meters is at the observation that's closer to the island. The lower elevation is at the distant um, observation. My question is, why are you doing things in reverse? When you move farther away, shouldn't you elevate yourself? But you're lowering your viewing angle. Okay, just pointing this out. Whatever. The other thing is why was your viewer height at Kinghorn 37 meters? Just asking. Was that the only available? Could you not go to the beach? Right? Just asking. This is all details that I would want to understand and know as a professional amateur photographer.
Why do you think it's doing things in reverse? I'm simply saying this is what I can see from 37 meters at Kinghorn, and this is what I see from 5 meters at Dalgety Bay. The spherical Earth model provides a very good explanation for why I see what I see from those two locations. And I'm asking whether flat earthers can provide a similar explanation based on a flat Earth. As for why I was at 37 meters at Kinghorn, it's simply that's the highest vantage point from which I had an image of the Bass Rock. I have published videos that show the Bass Rock as viewed from 25 meters and 5 meters and I think 2 meters from Kinghorn. And they show exactly what we'd expect on a spherical Earth as well. But on this particular occasion, I had the observation from Dalgety Bay, and I looked back through my old videos to find the highest elevation, the elevation that showed as much of the Bass Rock as possible, simply so that people could see just how much of the Bass Rock was obscured from view when looking from Dalgety Bay. This is not difficult to understand. The challenge is very simple, Travis. Why don't you go about actually addressing the challenge rather than trying to find criticisms and questions that are meaningless? So if I change the transparency on the Dalgety Bay image, having lined it up quite carefully, you can see that we are missing a very, very large amount of Bass Rock.
All right, you are not missing a very, very large amount of Bass Rock.
Wow. I mean, just wow. How can you look at these images and look at the overlay and the fade in and out and not think that a large portion of the Bass Rock is obscured from your view at Dalgety Bay? I'm almost speechless.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to do full screen. No, that's not doing full screen. Whatever. Okay. Bass Rock is 107 meters high, 350 feet. Okay? This portion right here is the same width as this arrow. And when I moved this arrow down, I could fit 4 of them in here. Okay? So this is 1/4 the height of um, the total island. Okay? So we have 350 times 25%. 350. Okay, hold on. Times. All right, let me do it this way to see, make sure, right? So that's 88 times 4. Yeah, okay. So this is 88 feet, okay? So you're telling me that this is 264 feet missing. Okay, you haven't done any calculations, you haven't looked at the refractive index, you haven't looked at the temperature, nothing. Nothing. Okay? So you're telling me that this is 88 feet and this is 264 feet. You're telling me that you believe that from this point down to this point is happening on the other side of this horizon. You believe that there is a lower level of water at the base of this island 27 miles away. Okay? Think about this, everybody who's watching this. Think about this. Where is this buoy? He hasn't told us. This buoy, I don't think is on the horizon. I think it's in front of it. Who knows how far away the horizon is? We don't know. Okay? But just think about this in abstraction. Think about the fact that he believes that there's 264 feet of drop. uh,
Well, that's what the two images appear to show. And if the Earth was a globe, this is exactly or very close to what we would expect to observe. That 260 feet that you calculated, which is probably a little bit inaccurate, but never mind, is over a distance of many miles. Or kilometers. I think roughly 30 kilometers. So that's not actually a very steep curve or slope. Now, I think it would be quite absurd to suggest that that much of Bass Rock is obscured by some miraging effect at the horizon.
okay. Notice now that he just said, I think it would be quite absurd to suggest. Okay, no one's making any suggestions yet, Miles. Why are you poisoning the well? Why are you creating a straw man? You've just suggested that there's 264 feet of this mountain missing, and there's a lower level of water, 264 feet lower, and at 20 miles difference. Sorry, excuse me. All right, so right now, Miles is poisoning the well.
So the point I was making, and I really wasn't trying to poison the well, I wasn't attempting to ridicule or discredit. I was simply pointing out that inferior mirage has been suggested previously by flat earthers as the explanation for why some portions, lower portions of objects, are hidden from view. The point I was trying to make is that there is very little evidence of inferior mirage in the Dalgety Bay picture due to the conditions on that the photograph was taken with sunlight reflecting from the water surface. And therefore, to suggest that inferior mirage might be the cause seems to me to be not a good explanation. But if you want to make the case that that particular image has an inferior mirage which is sufficiently large to obscure the whole of the island, please go ahead. As I've said, I want to hear the flat Earth explanations, and then to consider whether those flat Earth explanations offer as good an explanation for the observation as the spherical Earth explanations. That's the whole point of this observation and these videos, is to get flat Earth explanations. So, forgive me if I have poisoned the well here. That was not my intention, and I still look forward to hearing any explanation that you might have to offer. This picture that I took this morning at Dalgety Bay was quite fortunate in that the sun was shining quite brightly and reflecting off the surface of the water.
All right. He says it's quite fortunate that the sun is shining this bright off the water. This to me looks like a manipulated image. I have never seen the sun wash out this much area of a photograph ever. You'll see the ocean or the water look like it's a blue blanket with diamonds strewn across it, catching the light. You'll see flickers of light dancing as the waves move. This, in my opinion, Miles washed this out himself, because I believe that it would show that the water was had the appearance of being ramped up to this level. I have many photographs where if Miles had not overexposed this photograph here, you would see the water and it would look as though Miles were close down to it. Closer to the water, lower down. But he conveniently washed it out. Another shitty image. This is horrible. And he's going to say, look how crisp this line is. No, it's not. Look at all the undulations. Look at this. That is not a crisp line.
So Travis is accusing me of manipulating this image in some deceptive or underhand way in order to conceal what is actually going on. I did adjust the contrast slightly in the original image in order to get the buoy to stand out a little bit more and to get the clarity of the island a little better. Here is the original image. As you can see, if anything, the sea is even more washed out. This photograph is taken from a video. It's a still frame from a video. Here is the video itself, or a clip from it, so you can see exactly what was taken on the day. So this is a clip from the video from which the still was taken. I start with the camera zoomed fully out and zoom in. I've slowed it down to half speed so that I can narrate over here. Now I've got the exposure level a little bit high, as I stated, simply because I wanted to get the horizon, the contrast between the horizon and the sky or the water and the sky, as sharp as possible. Yes, there are waves on the horizon, Travis, and that's because we're zoomed in a lot. It's a little bit overexposed, but the effect of that sunlight reflecting off the water is that it gives us this very nice, sharp, crisp horizon here.
That is not a very nice, sharp, crisp horizon. Wake up, people.
By sharp and crisp, I mean that the contrast between the sky and the water is very clear. You can see where the sky stops and where the water starts. Of course, there are waves on the water, Travis, and as I said earlier, that's why you have those little bumps on the horizon. Inferior miraging sorts of effects tend to occur when the light from the sky
We're not talking about inferior mirages. There's no reason to waste our time with this discussion
He's bent
about
down
inferior
and
mirages.
okay, but you and other people have talked about inferior mirages in the past, and that's all that I was. The only point that I was making here is that I don't see how inferior mirage could explain this. So let's hear your alternative explanation based on the Earth being flat. That's what I want. That's what I'm interested in.
He's trying to talk about how the rays of light are coming down and bouncing off the water, and the water is bouncing. This is absolute gobbledygook, which is why I'm talking over him. You want to go listen to that? Go back to his channel and listen to that. Crazy.
I'm not sure why you think it's crazy to think that the reason that the water looks like this in the image is because sunlight is being reflected from that water into the camera lens. But okay, you think it's crazy? Also, just the sheer amount of the Bass Rock Islands that is missing from our view.
There's nothing missing.
Is missing from our view. And Bass Rock is 115 meters, I think, from recollection, above mean sea level. So we're talking about maybe 70 meters of Bass Rock is just blocked from our view.
88
completely.
He says he's off. I'm not going to correct him right now. It's going to take too much time, but he's off. I showed you that the Wikipedia has 107 meters. It's 350 feet. 88 feet was missing.
And it's that curvature of the Earth that blocks our view of the island.
No, it's not curvature. The Earth is not
flat
curved,
earthers watching this video, I'd be interested to hear your flat Earth explanation for this particular observation. Thank you for watching. I look forward to reading your comments below.
All right, so I don't want to try to. I want to try not to take up too much more time. I want to try to make this as succinct as possible.
So you're going to do the very thing that you complained that I did. Keep the video short and concise as possible.
Let me get over to the Google Earth image. Give it a little bit of time to hopefully boot back up. Okay. He wants flat earthers to explain the image. First of all, both images were absolutely atrocious with their quality. Okay? I think I'm going to have to refresh this. Dag blast it. Both images were atrocious with their quality. I would need to have multiple images of both the Kinghorn observation and the Dalgety Bay observation in order to quantify my explanation. I do have an explanation, but I'm not going to make it based on the lack of information that you withheld and the poor quality of the images, as well as an insufficient amount of images. So you're not going to get an explanation from me right now. Okay, if you want an explanation,
So you have an explanation for this observation, but you're not prepared to tell us what it is. And the reason you give for not being prepared to tell us what it is because you don't like the quality of the images shown, and you're only seeing at this point 2 images, and you want to see many, many more in order to quantify your explanation. I'm really not asking for a quantified explanation at this stage. Once we have some explanations in principle, like the globe Earth explanation that I published, then we can look at each of those explanations and see whether they match the observation accurately, and whether other observations that have been made of the same island, the Bass Rock, from these positions and from other positions fit with both explanations, or perhaps fit much better with one explanation than the other. But until we have in principle explanations, there is absolutely no point at all in uh, going into great detail. The reason that I want the explanation in principle first is because what usually happens with these sorts of observations is that people who think that the Earth is flat will either pick on some tiny way in which this observation doesn't quite match the spherical Earth geometry. They'll usually ignore something like atmospheric refraction or uh, claim that the camera height was different to that I've recorded or stated. And the whole discussion gets bogged down in the weeds of a few feet here or there, a few meters here or there, rather than dealing with, in principle, what the explanations actually are, and then being able to drill down on exactly which of those explanations best matches the reality in which we live.
This Google is dragging. Give me my grabby hand. Okay, I might just have to do this on my own. Kinghorn to Bass Rock. Kinghorn to Bass Rock, 20.5 miles. Channel Buoy, 20.5 miles. 20.5 miles. Okay? From Dalgety Bay to the Channel Buoy, right here, that's 7 miles. 7 miles. Okay, I want you to put your thinking caps on. From this distance of 20 miles, from that distance of 20 miles, you have a fully exposed island. All 350 feet. You mean to tell me that moving yourself back 7 miles is going to eliminate 260 feet? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Well, no, that's not what I'm trying to tell you exactly. Yes, moving back that distance, but also lowering your observation height by 32 meters, from 37 meters to 5 meters above the sea level. The two things combined, as I showed in using the Metabunk interactive diagram, the combination of moving that distance and lowering your elevation causes this much of the island to be obscured from our view. If I'd simply moved those 11 or so kilometers further away, not so much of the island would have been obscured from view. And if I'd stayed at Kinghorn and lowered my elevation to 5 meters, then not so much of the island would be hidden from view. But doing both, moving the 11 kilometers and lowering the camera height, that's what causes the island to be largely obscured from view. Now the question is, can you explain that in terms of a flat Earth? The spherical Earth has a perfectly good explanation that seems to match the observed reality. Can the flat Earth provide an explanation which also matches the observed reality?
Know that you gave the height of the observation. So you have 110 feet here roughly and 20 feet here. Okay, great. Crunch your numbers all you want. My point is that 7 miles is a very short distance. The curvature at 7 miles is less than 60 feet. Okay, so just put that in your pipe and smoke it. Okay, if you want an answer, It's on my channel. Look at Jenniferato's, I think it was Coffee Sode 15. I think it was Coffee Sode 15 or so. It's a reaction to Jenniferado. And I give my explanation there, which stands here. Okay, but I'm not going to satisfy your snide little smarmy. I'd like some flat earthers to give me an explanation. Blah, 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 blah. Not going to do it.
Well, I'm sorry you think my request was snide or smarmy. I didn't intend it to be either of those things. This is a very genuine appeal to flat earthers to provide an explanation for this observation. I have made similar appeals on many occasions in the past for my observations. I have yet to receive a flat earth explanation which bears up to any form of scrutiny at all for any of the observations that I've made. But I live in hope. Perhaps someone will have an explanation in terms of a flat Earth that satisfies all the observations that I've made, not just this one. And if that were to occur, then I would have to concede that the spherical Earth and the flat Earth are at least have equal credibility or validity. But until I get those explanations, then the flat Earth for me does not have any credibility. There is no flat Earth explanation that I am aware of for this observation. And all I'm asking for is for flat earthers to provide me with such an explanation.
Give us the deets, and you crunch the numbers, and I'm telling you, the 7 miles that's right here is not going to be significant enough to eliminate 260 feet of Bass Rock. Okay? All right.
Well, I hate to disappoint you, Travis, but you're wrong about that. But that really isn't the point at this stage. Even if you could say that this observation doesn't perfectly match what would be expected on a spherical Earth of a given size, that still doesn't tell us that the Earth is flat. If the Earth is flat, then you ought to be able to provide an explanation based on flat Earth for this observation. As it turns out, this observation works pretty well on the spherical Earth with a 6,371 kilometer average radius.
Right. This has been another exciting adventure of The Plain Truth. I'm your host, Travis Finley. Until next time.
So that's it from Travis. No explanation for the observation, a lot of utterly unnecessary and incorrect criticism of the video that I put out. He claims to have an explanation, but he's keeping it tucked away close to his chest for the moment. A few rather rude comments and questioning my honesty in presenting the picture, or the picture from Darity Bay at least, and a rather bizarre attempt to either make a joke or to threaten me in some way at the start of his video. I've now spent the best part of an hour doing this rather than doing the other things that I was planning to do today, which include continuing to work on the numbers, the details of exactly how well my observation matches the spherical Earth. This also will involve putting together some other observations made of the Bass Rock, both from Dalgety Bay, from Kinghorn, and from other locations. So thank you for watching. This has been a rather long video. It's made mainly for Travis's benefit, and also for any other flat earthers who might be interested. I hope it at least presents Travis's argument. I've tried not to edit out anything important, and well, you can make up your own mind whether you think I'm being reasonable or fair in my treatment of Travis and my treatment of this particular observation and what it means. So, excuse me. So with that, I will sign off and go and do something more useful.